somebody's daughter. I'm somebody's sister. Somebody's niece, somebody's cousin, somebody's mother. I'm from the Ijaw ethnic nationality. I'm Kalabari by clan. I'm from Abonima, precisely, Akugutoro local government area. So that's, I've laid all my stake, what makes me a Rivers person. I'm an activist in the sense that I actively stand up for the things that I believe in, and I speak up for the things I believe I should speak up upon. I like the truth. I speak the truth all the time. I hate lies. I speak up for things that I believe in. I'm not. No matter what happens, I will tell you the truth. Even at no matter the cost to me, I will tell you the truth. And so that's why. And those are the things that drive me. And I believe that I know that those are the reasons why I do the work that I do, which is to speak up. Unfortunately, we're in a country where it is necessary to say no to things that people should say no to. It surprises me that very few people take on that responsibility, because it is a responsibility, and I'm surprised that very few people take up that responsibility or think that it is their business. People think, no, it's not my business. It is very risky, actually, for people to have that feeling that something is, yes, there are things that is not your business, but when things affect all of us collectively, it doesn't matter what that thing is. If it affects us collectively, then it's our collective business. If we have wrong government in place, it's our collective business. All of us should be able to look at something and say, this is right and this is wrong. And I was raised like that, so I don't know whether that makes me a different person. I mean, what I think is different from me is when people actually don't take that responsibility. Yes. It's just looking at me. There is no other way of saying you don't look like an Ijaw woman, or you don't look like a Rivers woman, or you don't look like a Nigerian, because basically the majority of Nigerians, their skin tone is darker than mine. We in Nigeria, we have people whose skin tone is lighter even than mine. But my heritage is that my mother is British, and my father is Ijaw. He's from Abonima. I was born in the United Kingdom, and my father brought me back after his studies when I was raised there. So if my mom is British, white British, and then my father is Ijaw. And Agape Birthright is an organization of information giving and sensitization. Periodically, we help individuals or community, again, in information giving. When it comes to helping people one-on-one, like giving scholarship to individuals, or helping people pay their hospital bills, or helping people out with accommodation, and little things like that. It's not at a large scale. We're not like an aid organization. Agape Birthright is more like an intellectual NGO, because we do everything. we go into legal work. We are in the environment. We are in political rights. We are in developmental rights. We are in human rights. We are in female rights, children rights, youth rights. Education rights, all kinds of rights. Anything that is not right, we are involved in it if our attention is drawn to it. But we kicked off in the area of environmental rights and human rights, making sure that the rights of people are not abused. So it's not an aid organization, but wherever there is a need. The last public outing that Agape Birthright had was during the 2012 flood. We had a refugee camp, a displaced people's camp in Ahoda, in two points, and we fed them. We brought medical care to them until the flood subsided and everybody went back. We made them comfortable in a location, an empty building that was given to Agape Birthright to operate. Now we don't function like other NGOs. We don't get funding. We don't apply for funding from international organizations. We don't apply for funding from government or from companies, oil companies and things like that. Though once or twice, oil companies have approached, but we have said no, because we don't want to be involved in situations where you're now going to be told you can't say this and you can't do that. Because when you begin to take funding or work from government or from whatever, they begin to want to dictate how you should speak and the things that you can involve yourself in and the things that you cannot involve yourself in. So, I mean, Agape Birthright has always been there because it's the platform. The office is in D-Line. The platform has always been there. People bring their issues if they have problems with their landlord, if women have issues of violence, if children have been molested or violated, if people have been killed extrajudiciously by a government. Doesn't matter whether it's in Delta State or Bayelsa State or wherever. We will go there and get the truth and get the facts. And we don't get involved in things unless we know for a sure the fact that these things are true. If they are not true, there is no point, and we restrict ourselves from not going into exaggerating anything. If it's one, it's one. If it's two, it's two. You don't turn one into 100, because tomorrow it will come back and haunt you. And that's why for the NGO Agape Birthright, for me as a person, it is really very difficult, by God's grace, to find us in a position of compromise, because we have always made it a key approach to whatever we do, that it has to be factual, it has to be real. Like when those young men were murdered in Uniport, both me as a person and the organization were fully involved from the moment we heard about it until the court case was finished with. Agape Birthright was fully involved with the parents, even going to court with them. Our involvement with the people, with the community, like communities in Ogoni, communities in Bayelsa, where you have oil spills, even here in Rivers State, even in my own local government, people bring their issues to us. With oil companies, all the major oil companies, the communities, when they bring their issues and we investigate and we think and we can see clearly because there is a legal team attached to that works with the office. There is a desk. We have to look at it from the legal aspect, and if there is something there legally that we can work with, then we will take the case. It was a personal choice because I was raised in the Niger Delta. I was not born in the Niger Delta, but I was raised in the Niger Delta. When I came to Abonima at the age of 4, I started having the same experiences as that person. So my experience, my growing up years, my primary school, I went to primary school in Abonima. I speak my language fluently. I understand the culture. I'm not a stranger. I'm not one white woman doing good for people in Niger Delta because I love Niger Delta. No, I am a Niger Delta person, a River State woman, and a job woman who feels aggrieved by a lot of things. But for instance, the pollution of the oil pollution. Before oil pollution happened in the Niger Delta, I know what the water side, the water banks in Abonima and Degema and Buguma and Bakana, Tobi, all those places were like, and Kola and Suku, because my father was a marine engineer, and I went on a lot of these trips by boat, by flying boat. I could actually use a speedboat when I was about 13. My father taught me how to use a speedboat. And I knew the corners in the creeks between Abonima and so many other communities because we could only go by boat. At that time, there was no road connection to Abonima from Port Harcourt. And so that was my background. And when I traveled after the Civil War and I came back, what I saw was most offensive, heartbreaking. I couldn't believe that my childhood was stolen by oil companies and the federal government, who is their partner, and replaced with pollution. And Isam and Ugolo and Ube and all those things. What I grew up eating was disappearing and have disappeared. And so I was horrified and I was angry. And when Ken Sarawiwa was murdered along with the others, by that time activism, environmental issues, human rights issues, in 1993 the military had been doing coup upon coup against itself, removing people, killing people, and bringing themselves all back on and off, that I made a decision that I wanted to go back to my home, to my roots, to Port Harcourt. I've never lived anywhere. I may have stayed in Lagos, or Lagos is actually the only place that I have stayed in Nigeria outside of Port Harcourt, and that was very, very brief. I love River State. I love Port Harcourt. I cannot live anywhere else in this mind. The reason why I came was to be part of the resistance against injustice by the oil companies and by the federal government and by the military. And then in my family, we've always been in politics. My father, my uncles, my late uncle Obi Lulu Briggs, Lulu Briggs, his father. So my family has always been in politics. So for me to come back and be involved, I had no choice. It was not a paid job. I was not employed to come and go into activism. Activism is not a paid job. If you're involved in activism, you must have another means to feed yourself and your family, not through activism. I do not believe, and I have never benefited from being in activism as a way of life, as a way of living. It's a way of life for me, but not as a way of buying my cars and buying my clothes and sending my children to school and getting medical attention. I not ever had a contract. In the last in the 21 years that I have been involved in what I do, I have not been given a contract by any state government, by any ministry. I have never accepted a political appointment. Not that it has not been offered. You cannot induce me with money. As a matter of fact, I see the money in the Niger Delta and in Rivers State and in my local government as my money. So you can't induce me with my money. Yes, you cannot induce me with my money. And so when politicians in Abuja and people like that say, what do you want? We will give you this, we will give you that. I look them straight in the eye and I say, Oga, you cannot buy me with what is my own. You can take it from me by force, which you have, but you cannot use it to buy my soul. My soul is not for sale. We want a restructured Nigeria. I want a Nigeria where everybody keeps what they have.